Many parents have asked me how we use the Phonics animals and motions in our classroom, and so I thought I'd put together this video to help you so you know how to help your child at home practicing their letters and letter sounds. So these cards up here are the Phonics cards that we practice every day, and these go through in alphabetical order. And I usually show the kids the card and I tell them the animal name, and then they do the motion and the sound for me, and then we say the letter. So if I showed them this card, I would say Allie alligator, and the kids would say ah, and then they would say A. The next one is Bubba Bear, and you can see he has a beehive up here, and he reaches up to grab the honey, and he says B, and then the kids would say B. This is Katina Cat, and Katina Cat cleans her own face, so she says K. It's also important to make sure that when your child is practicing their letter sounds that they only say it one time. So for example, if we say dee dee deer, when they practice the sound we don't want them to go d d, we just want them to say d, so that when they start stretching out words they're not making the sound multiple times. The next animal is Ellie Elephant, and Ellie Elephant has her trunk and she sweeps it down to the ground to pick up peanuts, and when she does that she says eh. The next animal is Francie Fish, and Francie Fish's signal is like this, with one hand on top of the other and your thumb sticking out, and we go. The next animal is Gordo Gorilla, and of course he likes to eat bananas, so he holds his banana out in front of him and peels it and makes his sound G. This is Honey Horse, and when we do Honey Horse's signal we pat our legs like this, like a galloping motion, and we say Pah. This is Any Inchworm, so we make any inchworm with our finger and we say E. Here's Jerry Jellyfish, and Jerry Jellyfish's tentacles move like this, so we say J. Here's KO Kangaroo, and she's a boxer, and when we do KO Kangaroo signal we make fists and we go K. Next we have Lizzie Lizard, and she sticks out her tongue to catch animals while she's sitting on her log, so we make a log underneath our face and we say oh. Here's Missy Mouse, and she loves to eat cheese, so we put our hand up to our mouth and we say mmm. This is Nigel Night Owl. We make his eyes with our hands and we say mm. We have Olive Octopus next, and when we do her motion we do this with our arms and we say ah. Pee-wee Penguin waddles, so we put our hands by our sides and waddle and we say P. Next is Queenie Quail, and Queenie Quail has a little feather on her forehead, so we put our finger on our forehead like this and we say Qua. Robbie Rabbit, he has his hands like this in the picture, so we put our hands like this and we say R. Sammy Snake makes a slithering sound, so we use our arm to move like a snake and we say S. Timothy Tiger is very strong, so we hold our arms out like this and we say T. Next is Umber Umbrella Bird, and Umber Umbrella Bird holds his umbrella on his head and uses his other wing to fly, and we say Vincent Vampire Bat has fangs and wings, so we make our fangs and our wings and we say V. Willie Weasel is next, and when he runs, he makes this motion with his body, so we say W. This is Xavier Fox, and to make his motion, we put our fingers in an X and we go X, X. This is Yancey Yak, and she likes to yak on her cell phone to her friends, so we make a cell phone with our fingers and we say Y. And last is Zeke Zebra, and he is a tired zebra, so when we make his motion, we go like this and we say Z. I just want to go back a little bit to like the letter B when we do Bubba Bear. When you're practicing this with your kids, make sure you're not saying buh for the sound. Just make the B sound so that when they're stretching out words, they're not saying buh. We just want them to make the B sound, buh. So this is something that you can practice every day with your kids, and next I'll show you how we use our Phonics grids in our classroom. Okay, so these are our Phonics grids that we use in our classroom, and we use them a lot during swoop time. If you look at this grid, it has all the lowercase letters, and then there's also some stars down here, and the stars you can pretty much ignore. We're not going to use them till the end of the year. And then over here I have a cut up grid that has the Phonics animals merged with the letters. So what we have been doing in our classroom is taking these Phonics cards and putting them in. You can put them in a Ziploc bag, or you can put them in a little bucket or some sort of small container. You have the kids reach in, pull one out. I got Lizzie Lizard, so I'm going to make Lizzie Lizard's sound, and I'm going to match it onto my grid. So I get Lizzie Lizard, I say, oh, and then I put her on the grid. Then I pull out my next letter. I got Umbrella Bird, so I make the motion and the sound, and I put Umbrella Bird over the U on my grid. You could also have your child say the letter name as they put it on the grid too. So next I got Jerry Jellyfish, and he says J, and then when I put it on the grid I can say J. Next I have Vincent Vampire Bat, V. I'll do one more. Next we have Nigel Night Owl, and he says N. Okay, so here is what the completed grid would look like once your child put all the letters onto their board. And I like to use this board to practice making words. So you might ask your child to make the word at above their grid. So I would get Allie Alligator, and Timothy Tiger, and then we can put those sounds together to make a word. So the kids, if they're going to read this word, they would say at, to blend the word together. Then you can ask them to make multiple words just from the word at. So you might ask them to make the word cat next. So they would find Katina cat, put it up at the beginning of the word, and then they would signal the word to you like this. At, cat. Then you could ask them to make a new word. You might ask them to make the word hat. So they would put Katina cat back onto the grid and put honey horse at the front to make hat, and they would say at, hat. It's really important at the end to have them bring it all together, to put all the sounds together to make the word hat. Then you might ask them to put honey horse back and have them make the word rat. So they would find the letter that makes the R sound, which is Robbie Rabbit, put it at the top, and then they would signal that word again. It would be at, rat. Then you could change the ending sound. You could say, okay, now I want you to make the word say rap. So they would put Timothy Tiger back. They could get Pee Wee Penguin. And they could spell rap. Then you could start changing the medial sound. You could say, instead of rap, I want it to say rip. So they would put alligator back, take out any inchworm, and now they've made the word rip. Rip. You can also use this grid to practice our sight words that we do every trimester. You could do different word families like at, app, up. You can do multiple different things with this Phonics grid at home.